Hi, sister leaders. It is me, Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, coming to you with another grand sister leader. I cannot wait to tell you about Crystal Tramack, but you know how I do. I really don't tell you about her. She's going to tell you about what she does in this space called business. She's going to talk to you about her ideal client, any products and services, and we're just going to have an organic conversation about what it is that she do. Because I only bring the powerful, the mighty, those women who are doing things here on this earth. And so, Crystal, welcome to the Sister Leaders community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karen. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. So thank you very much. And thank you, sister leaders. It is an awesome opportunity to be here talking to you all today. So what I do is I empower women and veterans in transition towards their next level career and leveling up their finances and assisting them with their getting connected with their veterans benefits.
Awesome. And so, why veterans? Now, veterans are my heart. So you touch me because my husband is retired Army of 20 years and he loves the Army. He wears this little retired pin on everything, and he got out in 98. So he loves being retired. So what is your connection, or is there a connection with the military?
Yes, there's absolutely connection. My father is also a veteran. My husband is a veteran. My father-in-law is a veteran, and I am a veteran. So, as a woman veteran who served the United States Army and who continues to serve after that as a federal senior employee, I am very passionate about connecting veterans to their opportunities are out there. So the opportunity to gain employment, to sustain their lifestyle, and also transition and get connected to all of the things that are out here that we are entitled to and that we've earned. So it is absolutely near and dear to my heart because as a veteran, I know the importance of needing someone to help guide us through these processes.
Awesome. So I hear a lot of meaty stuff that we can talk about. You're talking about benefits. And so you're talking about, I heard you say finance and career. So let's talk about the career part of it. So do you work with veterans who are post military as they are moving from their military life into their post military life? Or tell us about the career part of it.
So the career part of it, as you may have heard, you might have often heard individuals say that they have a challenge breaking through into the federal government. So I've heard people say over and over again, "Oh, I've tried everything and I just can't get in." So there are some challenges there, and there's also some opportunities. So coming up with a strategy to giving you the best opportunities to gain employment, that is what I'm assisting with. So I successfully navigated that space and landed several federal opportunities and also coached many others through that. So yes, I've done that with veterans as well as those civilians that have solely worked in the private sector. So just navigating that space because we need more individuals in the federal government adding their skills and abilities to the force to help support the mission. So it is an absolute need out there to help individuals get connected with the right things.
I love that. So let's get specific. And so now my background is human resources, and so I can tell you what I have seen with individuals who are leaving the military. Not so you're talking about individuals navigating to work on the civilian side of the government, but what I've seen a resume full of acronyms, just all kinds of acronyms, and they come in the interview saying all types of acronyms, knowing that, or maybe unknowing to us that we don't know what those acronyms stand for. They use a lot of terminology. Sometimes they don't break it into layman's terms so that us civilians will understand exactly what they're talking about. And so is that some of the challenges that you help them in terms of their resume, in terms of how they articulate themselves in the interview process? Because I have definitely seen that part of the struggle.
Yes, absolutely. You are spot on. So don't feel like it's just you all in the private sector civilian arena that feel that way because not all acronyms translate across all departments. So Department of Defense has its own acronyms they use that are universal. The services, the individual military services have their own acronyms, and other departments that aren't related outside of the DoD that are part of the federal government have their acronyms that they use as well. So being sure to look over the resume and giving key pointers and how to present yourself best to get someone to swipe you to the next level. So, we've often heard about the dating profiles and people wanting to swipe right. So we want the government to swipe right on these resumes and move you on to have the hiring officials consider you for the position so that you can get the interview, so that you can ultimately receive the job offer. The ways to do that is how you're telling your story on paper first and making the connection there, and how you show up in the position and you show the assets and value that you bring to the table. So yes, that is absolutely the things that I do.
So I love that. So I just learned something. So y'all know I'm always in listening to see what I can learn. So I heard you just say, and correct me if I'm wrong, even the departments within the government has their own terminology. So I can't go from the Department of Transportation to the Department of Defense and expect to use the same terms, the same language. It may not be transferable. I still may need to customize my language and customize my resume for whatever job that I am applying for these different departments. So how do you find out what the language is, or how do you find out what the phrases are? Is it you just have to know, you have to, or know a crystal? How do you find out?
So yes, part of it is definitely knowing a crystal. I have heard my clients say that before. Everyone doesn't have a crystal when they notice people are scrounging in their different work settings and how they're, getting stuck in a certain position and not moving on and getting promoted and things like that, wanting to change their career fields. But with that, it does take some research and just knowing what you're looking for. So you're looking at the job announcements and the way that the government is releasing the positions and thinking about what your skill sets are and how you make your connections. So you have to really be able to tell your story and put yourself in that position. So you are spot on when you say it's not, what your understanding is that it's not the same language across all of the federal government. We all need to know what it is we're talking about. So one of the things we can start with is by spelling out those acronyms. We can start there.
Absolutely.
And then from there, it's you looking at the announcement and you're figuring out how you show up and what you're connecting to that position and being able to tell them how you show up, what you're bringing to the table. And so that helps those individuals that are part of that interviewing panel understand more about what it is you're doing. So just like you say, even inside of that same department, I've been on both sides of it. So in my former life, I was also an Army recruiter. So I understand that side of it as well. I have also been in the human resources side as a medical service corps personnel in uniform, and then transitioning into the federal government on some of that personnel side and operations as well. Well, even with that, I may bring someone onto the interview panel with me that doesn't know the job that I'm bringing you on for or what my department is doing. So even with that, it's best to make sure that we're using universal language that is understandable by everyone so that you're showing how you show up. So where individuals are scoring you and making the recommendation for you to move on to the next level, they have the information they need to make the best decision.
I love that. I love that. So, so you kind of speaking my language here, so I'm getting a little excited. And so, my next question is, here out in the civilian world, obviously STEM related careers are what's popping. Anything that has to do with science, technology, engineering, math, anything that has that could be direct or indirect is what's going to be popping for the next 10 years. What do you think, or what do you recommend will be the hot careers in the military life for the next 10 years?
So I wouldn't necessarily, it's not really just the military side, it is the federal government. So when you're looking at
Okay.
what's hot on that side, what do I bring to the table and how do I show up? So sometimes people get wrapped up in the titles that they see in a position and they'll say, oh, I definitely qualify for this because this is the title that it was in this other position that I worked in with this other agency. Or I'm not going to look at this position because I don't fit that title. It's all about really looking at what they're asking you about, because I'll give an example. As a program manager, that doesn't mean the same thing across all the services or all the departments. Some of them are more tech heavy to where I can be a program manager with the IT background and I'm working with customer service, dealing with help desk ticket items. I could be a program manager on the human resources side, and I'm more of a liaison, being a fill in the middle to talk from human resources to those that were onboarding or internal processes when it comes to personnel, things that need to be done. So we can't just get wrapped up in the title or what it is that's hot, because a program manager has been in recruiting, a program manager has been in special pays, it has been in human resources, and again, IT, among several other career fields. So it's really about looking at the agency that you're interested in and seeing what you bring to the table, and really looking at the announcement, the job announcement, and saying, how do I fit into this? And how do I answer these questions and make sure that my resume is showing who I am?
I love that. And that's true in the civilian world as well, because you can be a program manager. There are program managers who even manage people, and there are program managers who don't manage people at all. And people get confused because they see the title manager, and then they find out, no, but you're a manager of the program, not necessarily a manager of people. And so that titles can be misleading. So you have to go to the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities of what is required for that job to kind of get the meat and potatoes of what it is that you will be doing if you were in that particular role. So
Yes.
I totally agree with that. So let's talk about females. I'm a female leadership coach, so I can't let you exit this room without talking about females. So in the civilian world out here outside of the government, we're about less than 30% of the senior leaders, and across the board, even in those industries that are predominantly women. When you get to the top positions, it's the boys club. And so my goal, I've taken it on, is my mission is to increase the number of women in senior leadership, work with them on leading people, leading change using technology and analytics, mentorship, ambassadorships, sponsorship, people speaking your name in those rooms that you haven't gotten there, using all the different modalities and methodologies that will assist women to increase those numbers. Do you also see in the federal government, for people who work for federal government, is there a disparate impact when it comes to women in the senior leadership roles? Because I don't see a whole lot when they have all the generals and stuff, when they have the White House briefings and over there in the gallery where everyone be all in uniform and stuff. Rarely do you see a female over there with bars on her shoulders. So tell me about military and civilian working for the military, and do they have that disparate impact when it comes to women in leadership?
So as the military is a reflection of the rest of the population, absolutely, we couldn't get away from it, because how the rest of the private sector looks is just the same that we look, except there are more opportunities. We do have less women in those leadership roles, and so for myself, I made sure to navigate those spaces to show up so that other people can see that it is obtainable. So wherever I was able to make that chance for myself or take advantage of getting into those spaces, I made sure to get into those spaces and reach back to pull others along with me. So I started out enlisted in the United States Army. I was a medic, and then I recruited myself, and I'll tell this story often. And I was over in medical recruiting. I put my packet together and I gave my packet to a coworker and said, we'll get station credit and I'll commission. So I became a commissioned officer, which moved me into more of a higher leadership role. And there are not a lot of women in those positions. So then I started to mentor others to bring them on when I made it to that level as well. So the same thing, I kept that same foundation when I transitioned out from active duty once I retired, and started to do the same thing in the civilian sector. So the civilian federal government sector, I started to bring others along and talk to them about how to find opportunities to get promoted, and not just sitting and being complacent at that grade that you are, and understanding that sometimes it may require you to do some movement. So sitting in one spot or hoping to be with one department for your whole career, but also thinking that you're going to make it to the next level, they don't always go hand to hand. It does work for some people, but that can't be, if your ultimate goal is that you want to go after higher opportunities, promotions, or change career fields, you need to look at other agencies and other opportunities as well. And so just having those candid conversations and getting individuals, women, to think differently in their mindset about these opportunities. And so one of my most recent clients actually moved states. So she moved from Florida to Virginia by these opportunities I was able to coach her through. And it made a significant difference for her with her career and also her annual income.
Absolutely. And if you are mobile, that's a game changer for a lot of people. And that's the same in the civilian world as well. No longer are we looking to work for a company for 20 years and get a gold watch or whatever, because you're good if you're there for 5 years. Because what happens is, if they aren't structured so that you can move up and elevate yourself when you're ready to elevate yourself, then you have to show yourself to the market and take your talents to the market for an external employer who has a position, that your next position, whatever that next position has been identified as. And so rarely do you just go up, 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 up. Sometimes you even have to go over, take a lateral move to departments that have more visibility. And I don't know if it's a struggle for you, but sometimes it's a struggle for me to talk to my clients and say, look, if you want to remain with this employer, your department, when is the last time someone was promoted? They're not promoting, they're not structured right. But over here, and maybe in marketing, you seem to see people go moving up and moving up and moving up. They must be structured right. They believe in promoting from within. So maybe if you make a lateral move over to marketing, then you will go up. So you'll make the vertical move after you make the lateral move. And trying to talk people into visibility creates opportunity. So you sitting in a chair thinking that as long as you work hard, that they're going to bless you with your promotion and tell you how wonderful you are and say, here you go, promotion. It doesn't work like that. You have to be intentional and strategic when it comes to your career. And sometimes that strategy is going over or even outside of your employer so that you can move up. You determine when it's time for you to be promoted, is what I tell my clients. Is you don't let your employer determine when it's time for you to be promoted. When you sit and wait for them to bestow on you a promotion, now you're letting them determine when it's time. When you think that you're ready, then you are ready. If you think that you're ready, and if you can't find a position internal, you got to look in the marketplace. What are your thoughts on that?
Strategy. You hit the nail on the head, because that's exactly what I talk and what I was discussing, because I think it works a little better for me because I've shared my personal experiences when it comes to that. So yes, they have a challenge with it, but then when they see where I am and what I've accomplished, they're excited about it. And when I tell them, yes, I've done some lateral moves, I've switched agencies, I've been in a private sector on a contract, I've switched, and how they see me move, they're like, oh, okay, you've done that. And so they are more open and understanding that, okay, you're a person I can reach out and touch and see that's navigated this space, who looks like me. You're a woman who's moved in these spaces. And so, okay, I can give it a chance. And so they listen better. They're much better, much more receptive. Even if in the beginning they weren't thinking about moving, I'll ask the question. So what is it that's keeping you where you are? And so you have to figure out what the value is for you and what is the ultimate goal. What is your why for you to do what you're doing? And so I've noticed that that has been a big push and a big change in mindset to help individuals ready to move on to the next level. And so they get really excited about the opportunities, and they're happy to see the growth that they've had in working with me, moving through the process from where they were before, and things they said, they were like, I just wasn't aware, I'd never thought about it. Because like you said, so many people sat in these positions for so many years, but no, we aren't doing that anymore. And I do hear certain individuals say things in the leadership side, oh yeah, this person wanted another opportunity, so they left agencies. Okay.
Yeah.
And not to say you won't see the same from me. So
Yeah.
that's how I got to you, because I switched agencies or took lateral positions and looked for opportunities. And where I know that I'm a value, I made sure to step in there and show them that I was, so they could bring me on board.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. And it's comforting for me to know that even as you are working with individuals on the civilian side of the government, that even in the marketplace, there are grand similarities on how you get promoted. It's the same formula. If they don't have the opportunity when you're ready to move, then you need to be intentional and strategic about what your plan is. And it has to truly be planned. You
Yes.
need to know why you're moving. You need to know why you're going, and why you're going to a particular employer or agency, because it's part of your plan. And you need to know roundabout how long you plan on staying. So you plan it all out, and then as you get boots on the ground and you're there, then you also play it by ear as to what is going on environmentally wise, and then you also account for that in your plan as well. So I love that. So I want to talk a little bit, because you also mentioned finance. So tell me what you do with your clients in terms of finance. How do you help them? What do you help them with?
So one is first realizing that you aren't valued and you need to be worried about investing yourself. So a lot of individuals, a lot of people haven't ever invested in themselves outside of maybe going to school and taking out some loans, or having family members support them, or them taking on an additional job to pay for our structured school system. They don't know about investing in themselves. They understand, oh, people invest in stock market, or they invest in retirement plans, but investing in things that are going to elevate you to where you want to go. So that's the first thing, having that discussion about investment. Okay, you're important and you're valued enough that you need to invest in yourself, that you can get where you want to go. So where do you see yourself going, and how are you going to get there? Because yes, there's a lot of things that individuals can do on their own, but with someone to help guide you through the process, you can do it that much faster. You can avoid some of the pitfalls that some of us have had to endure by being the first ones or the only ones to navigate that space on our own. So just even think about sports analogy. We had a coach. There was a coach along the way, whether it was sports or music. You had an instructor. Someone was there to help you guide, grow in that process. You didn't just pick up and do whatever it was by yourself without getting some type of feedback and input along the way. So it's the same thing. We're going through life. And so you can go through life so much faster with more people to help you in that process, as opposed to you trying to do it alone. So with the finances, it's definitely the investment portion first. Then is to talk about, for those individuals that are working on their credit score or need to work on their credit score because they haven't messed with it or thought about it, making sure that you put yourself in the best position for that, and developing some better habits when it comes to that to help you improve your credit score if that is a challenge for you. Looking at how you're spending money and how you are setting yourself up to do what it is you want to do. So if you're looking at retirement in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, or you're one of those people that just wants to work, because you have some people that will say, oh, I'm always going to work. So everyone's plan is different, but it's always talking about, let's look at how you think about money and making sure that we're putting you in the best possible light to where you're growing in that area too.
Absolutely. I love that. I heard plan, plan, plan. The whole time you were talking, plan, plan, plan. And obviously we were talking about strategy. So strategy and plan. I also heard and invest in yourself.
Yes.
And I am a just a cheerleader that it doesn't always take another degree. Sometimes individuals are not presenting themselves properly, which is why they are not getting through the employment recruitment process in terms of promotion. And so I tell my clients, before you go get another degree, let's look at how you are articulating yourself on paper as well as in the interview, because it may be just as much as you sprinkling some data in there, because they're not using examples of data in the questions. They're not, if it's a leadership position, they're not thinking from a visionary standpoint. They're thinking from a task-oriented standpoint, and leadership and management are two different things. And so when you move up to leadership, you should be talking about the future, not what you're doing today, the future. How are you going to stay competitive? How are you going to stay out in the front? Pricing and different things like that. When you're in management, you're concerned about getting the day-to-day. So it may be just as simple as how you're showing up on paper and showing up in the interview process, not another doggone student loan.
Right, exactly.
So not another degree. And sometimes when people are ready to go to the next level, they always want to redo their resume. Well, okay, we can redo your resume, but let's talk about what you've done. Like, how much money have you managed? How many people have you managed? where have those people been? Are they in the same building with you, or are they're in different locations? Because depending on if the next job you got your eye on is responsible for people in a different location, then it's going to be a stretch for you if everybody you've always managed have been right within where you can touch them. You know, and then also about communicating. How do you determine that your staff is doing okay? Through reports. So what type of reports do you review on a regular basis, and how do you analyze those reports, and then how do you communicate up about what those reports say to you? And so again, that's just communication. And so it's a lot of things that you and I can assist individuals with that is not another degree, another certification. Let's look inwardly first and just talk about your overall professional work profile and what you've done and how you articulate that to others, and see if we can kind of shore that up before you go out and make other investments. And then if you need to make an investment in yourself, then certainly let's do that. But let's talk about, make sure that it's not, the reason why you're not being successful is not simply because you don't know how to articulate yourself. Absolutely. So I love that. I love that. So tell me why you determined that, I want to help others. I want to help others. I navigated, because you could have certainly have had your career be successful, and you could have took all of your information and your knowledge and you could take it to the grave with you. But you determined, no, I'm going to share what I know with others and help elevate others. And so tell me about what made you decide that you were going to share and help others. If there was a pain point in your life where you decided you didn't want others to go through that similar pain point. But what is that story? What is that Crystal story behind this?
So I am a first generation college student. So that was navigating a new space for me. And so that would show you that many other things were first after that. So I went on a full track and field scholarship. I went to school. What I knew at the time was I loved competing. And so I just wanted to run. That happened to allow me to get connected to school. And so I was more focused on school. It shifted and improved my focus when it came to school and education. And I started to improve my grades there. I also knew that I didn't want to be one of those people that couldn't do the things I wanted to do. So I didn't want to struggle to have a reliable transportation or a roof over my head and enjoy the things I wanted to do, whether it's going on vacation or eating certain foods. And so I made sure that the path that I took was going to line me up to do that. So that's how it started with the military, for me to learn those skills that I could to put along with that degree. Because as you said, it's not always just about that paper. You got to have some experience behind it and also know how to share that experience with others so they're interested in you. So then I moved that over into the federal government. Well, along this journey, I know I'm not the only person that's dealing with the first time in these spaces. And so if there was no one else that was out there for me like that, I had some people along the way that did give me some guidance, but a person that was at that level of detail that really could have navigated me to each one of those levels, there was no one like that. And so I know that we were all created to be answers. There is something that we're supposed to do in this world. So part of the impact I am to make in this world is to be answers to someone's problems. So I know that I have the answers to many people's problems, mainly at this point, veterans and women. And so I want to share what I know and help move veterans and women to the next level in their careers, in their health and wellness, in their finances, so that they are here for the long term and live in the best they possibly can live. The other part of it is I need to leave a legacy. I have a family of my own. And so as an only child, there's no one else for me to sit back and rely on and say, this person can step up for me if I'm not able to do what I need to do for myself and my family. So I want to leave that legacy for my family, so they're not having to be the first in every level like I was. My parents did some things for me. I want to make sure that I'm doing that much more for the next generations to come behind me. And so as I do that, I'm an example for others in the community as well. And so it's a burning desire in me for me to see others do better, get into a better position than where they were. And so with that, sometimes it takes someone else to talk to you a little bit so that you can see the possibilities, that growth. And so you're not sitting 20, 30 years down the road thinking this is as far as you can go because you haven't seen more than a quarter raise or a $1 raise in all these years. There's too many opportunities out there for us, but having someone to help navigate you through the space is the easiest way, the fastest way to get it done. So the challenges that I faced and the time that it's taken me to do some of the things, having someone there to get me there sooner. I remember my transition. Having someone, there are so many processes in place. There are a lot of programs out there and they look great on paper and they probably could be fabulous programs. But what I found is those programs didn't get me employed. Those programs did not help me get connected to my disabilities or like my compensation or benefits through the Veterans Affairs. It was knowledge that I had, that I learned along the way and also had to build along the way to get where I was trying to go. So there is a need there. And so I wanted to make sure that I showed up to fill that gap and that need and help other individuals get where they like to go.
I love that. I love that. And I think I found your soundbite. So your soundbite is that we were all created to be answers. We were all created, and that is powerful. So yeah, that is powerful. I love that. I love that. So legacy, using your talents, legacy, and to help others is what I heard you say. So that is awesome. So if you could tell the Sister Leaders community how they can stay in contact with you, the name of your business, just everything that you want to share so that they can be connected to you if they need your services.
Okay. So you can follow me on all social media platforms at crystalshespeaks.com. That's my website, but you can also follow me on all social media platforms, Crystal She Speaks. And I also have a book out there. She Needs to Move Something to Live. So for those of you that are looking to get yourselves in a position, let's start with our health and wellness, and then we can continue to build. That's how my journey started with health and wellness, and it moved into all the other areas, my finances and my career. And I believe that when we're showing up healthy, we're in position to do the rest of the things that we need to do. So make sure you check that out. That can be found on Amazon. She Needs to Move Something to Live. And again, follow me on all social media platforms and we can talk more and strategize your way to your next level.
I love that. She needs to move something to live. That is profound. It is the truth. And because that is my struggle has been diet and exercise. I am struggling with the exercise part, doing a lot better with the diet part, but I still need to move a little bit more. And so, love, love, love that title. So, this has been wonderful. And so, I want to make sure that you follow Crystal and so stay in contact with her. And for those of you who need her services, please reach out to her because here at the Sister Leaders community, we believe in partnership and collaboration. We do not believe that is a lack of talent out here to help one another. We believe that is a lack of knowledge of who is the answer, because Crystal told you earlier, we are the answer for somebody's problem. Who is the answer to what it is that you are seeking to elevate yourself in your finances, your health and wellness, and or your career? And so I am excited. This has been another episode of Sister Leaders, the podcast, and we have had another awesome sister leader. So stay tuned for the next sister leader that's coming on deck, which will be on next week. I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. And of course, you can join me at drkarenhillspruden.com. Join the Sister Leaders community. Hey, the first level is free, FREE, and I believe everybody can afford that. And let's elevate one another. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Let me